Now, there were two elderly ladies that had been friends for many decades. And over the years, they had been apart and everything, and they got back together. And their activities had put them back together since they were in a senior citizen in a home like this. And one of them went to the other, and she says, "I think I know you." I said, "I think that we used to do so and so and so and so." And this other lady said, "We did. And so they went on talking, and finally she said, "Well, I've got someplace I've got to go, so I'll see you later." And she left, and she turned to the lady sitting next to her, and she said, "Who was that lady?" Funny. At least I got a laugh from one. I have grandchildren too, so I got a laugh from one of you.
Back in my days, blonde jokes were extremely popular. Here's two of my favorites. Why do blondes take a magic marker and write on their white tennis shoes in black, TGIF? It stands for toes go in first.
Well, I like to read the comics, and especially the ones about families and children and parents and everything. And on Zach Hill, I had it, but I can't find it. I saved it. But when they were talking about cursive writing, and I don't know if all of you are taking cursive, but I love it. I think it's an art, fine art. And anyhow, his grandfather asked him if he was taking cursive writing, if he was learning cursive. And he said, "Oh no, my parents don't allow us to use curse words." Okay.
I know the tallest building in all the world, in every town, city, and everything. The very tallest building in every one of them, I could name it. It's the library. It has the most stories.
I always wondered what the nurse reaction was after I left a half-eaten sandwich in a comatose patient's hand.
An elderly man driving erratically was stopped by the police around 2 a.m. and was asked where he was going at that time of night. The man replied, "I'm on my way to a lecture about alcohol abuse and the effects it has on the human body, as well as smoking and staying out late." The officer then asked, "Really? Who's giving that lecture at this time of night?" The man replied, "That would be my wife."
Now the next one I have is my little son, when he was 5 years old. I always told him, don't ever tell anybody anything that you wouldn't tell to God. He came in one afternoon and he said, "Mommy, Randy just called me a damn fool." I said, "David, you wouldn't call that to God. Would you tell that to God?" He said, "I'm not talking to God, Mom, I'm talking to you."
Lady Astor to Winston Churchill, "If you were my husband, I'd poison your tea." Churchill, "If you were my wife, I'd drink it."
If life expectancy would grow by leaps and bounds if green vegetables smell like bacon.
Hospital regulations, hospital rules state that patients checking out must have a wheelchair. Sounds like a good idea. One day, a newly graduated nurse assistant came into the room to find an elderly man, fully dressed, sitting on the side of the bed. He had a piece of luggage at his side, all ready to go. When he was shown the wheelchair, he was adamant about that he was fully capable of walking himself to the parking lot. But the assistant told him the rules were the rules, and so he relented and let her wheel him out. In the elevator, the assistant asked the elderly man if his wife were coming to meet him. "I don't think so," he replied. "It takes her a while to change her clothes, so she's probably still upstairs in the bathroom taking off her hospital gown and getting dressed."
There were 3 seniors pals out for a stroll one day, and one of them remarked, "Oh, it's windy." And another replied, No way, it's Thursday. The last one says, me too, let's go have a soda.
My wife's always trying to get rid of me. Last night she told me to put the garbage out. I told her I already did. She told me to go and keep an eye on it.
Okay. Do you know why cows wear bells? Because their horns don't work. Yay! Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I do good?
You did perfect.
What's in your name again? Two elderly ladies had been friends for many decades. Over the years, they had shared all kinds of activities and adventures. Lately, their activities had been limited to playing cards a few times a week. One day, when playing cards, one looked at the other and said, "Now don't get mad at me. I know we've been friends a long time, but I just can't think of your name. I've thought and thought, but I can't remember it. Please tell me what your name is." Her friend glared at her. For at least 3 minutes, she just stared and glared. Finally, she said, "How soon do you need to know?"
Two rednecks are waiting in a bus for, one had a large bag. "What's in the bag?" the other one asked. Redneck with a bag replies, "Porcupines." "How many porcupines you got in that bag?" He says, "I'm not telling you," says the redneck. "If I guess how many porcupines you got in the bag, will you give me one?" asked the other redneck, and he says, "Tell you what, if you guess how many, I'll give you both of them."
Hearing is better now. An elderly man was having problems and he went to see a specialist. The doctor fitted him with some hearing aids and brought his hearing back to full strength. After a few weeks, the man came back to make sure that the new equipment was working properly, which it was. The hearing specialist said, "It seems perfect. Your family should be delighted that you can hear everything now." "Oh no," the man responded. "I haven't told any of them. I just sit quietly and listen carefully, and I've changed my will 4 times.
Cab driver and a preacher died at the same time and got to the pearly gates. And St. Peter said, "Welcome, I've been waiting for you." So he tells the preacher to come and go with me. And he took him through the pearly gates and took him 4 or 5 houses down, put him in this older house. Then he went back and he told the cab driver, says, "Come and go with me." And they went down a couple of houses and he put him in this real nice house. And the preacher run back up there and said, "But St. Joseph, I have preached for 30 years. And you put me down there in that ugly house, and you put the cab driver up here in this beautiful home?" He said, "But sir, you don't understand. He's had more people on his knees praying than you have."
But when I was young, I always wanted to know why the other girls had fellers and I didn't have no feller. So I asked my Uncle Nabal, I said, "Uncle Nabal, why does she always have a feller and I don't have no feller?" He said, "Well, see this little bottle of stuff I got right here? Well, if you put some of that right back here, this man comes up behind you, he'll kiss you right back there. And if you put some of that right back here, and he comes up behind you, he'll kiss you right back here." And I said, "Give me that bottle of stuff." And I poured it on my head and I said, "I'm going to see it all over my body and I'll let you know what happens."